record. It's not the math. It's not the place in the standings. It's not anything that's quantifiable. It's just really dark, okay? Dark. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Cubs 9, Pirates 0. Andrew Heaney got hit really for the first time this season, if you think about it. It's not like he wasn't owed a mulligan. 4 runs and 5 hits over 4 2/3 innings. Not that it mattered what he did or anybody else after him, because nobody touched home plate for the home team. Joey Bart and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa had a couple of hits. Andrew McCutchen had the only extra base hit, and 0 runs means 0 runs. And 11-19 means 11-19. It means last place. It means if it weren't for the Rockies off to just an unimaginably, historically horrendous start, they're now 4-25 after losing to the Braves last night. The Pirates would be the worst team in the National League as opposed to just the worst team in the Central Division. And I was bored during this one, and what I'll often do when I'm bored and the Pirates are getting their brains beat out is I do research. And I know where to do that research since I've been on this beat for 20 years, and I've had some experience in finding out what's the worst this or the worst that in franchise history. This is the 144th edition of the Pittsburgh Baseball Club, so it stands to reason that 11-19 wouldn't be the worst start. But, as my research showed, it's one of them. The way I usually go about these things is I begin in 1890 with the infamous Pittsburgh Alleghenies, my favorite team in franchise history, just because these guys were so miserable that they own almost every futility record on the road to finishing 23-113. You heard that correctly. They were 66.5 games behind the National League pennant winners. That would be, of course, your Brooklyn Bridegrooms. Not kidding. Brooklyn Bridegrooms. One of these days, maybe we'll invest a whole episode in those Alleghenies. There's actually a recent book that's out on them right now. Not making that up either. But anyway, those guys got off to a 9-21 start, which is actually pretty great when you think about ending up 23-113. They at least won 9 of their first 30 games. These guys that we're watching right now only won 2 more, 11 of their first 30 games. The worst actual start in franchise history was 5-25. If you know your Bucko lore, you'll know that happened in the 1950s. 1952 was that year. There also were 2 other years in which they finished with an 8-22 mark through 30 games. That happened in 1957 and again in 2006. My point, this is bad. This is really, really bad. And I'm going to try by abandoning all of that tangible stuff to make a case that this is actually the worst start in franchise history from the standpoint that it's just so morbid. This team's playing in front of almost entirely empty COVID-looking stadiums when it's at home. By the final pitch last night, there couldn't have been 4 figures in that ballpark. And there's no hope either. And, we can talk about salary caps and payrolls and other stuff, and all of that's legit. I never, dismiss that stuff. But when you compound that with the same management team being in place, when you compound that with Ben Cherington being in year 6 and overseeing, as we speak right now, a worse roster than the one he inherited in late 2019, and Bob Nutting's doing nothing about it? That's hopelessness. When you see the same mistakes, the same types of mistakes made again and again and again and again in the field, on the mound, at the plate, and nobody's doing anything about the manager. And by the way, as long as we're referencing history here, the manager's record, Derek Shelton's record, his record is now 305 and 433. That's a 413 winning percentage. That is the worst in baseball history for any manager's first 5+ seasons in one place. And there is a reason for that. Managers who lose at this rate tend not to stay in one place for very long. That, of course, is also Cherington's GM record in Pittsburgh. Nothing matters. Nothing's being done. No changes have been made. No accountability has been exercised, with the exception of a couple of off-season, what was it again, bullpen coach, strength and conditioning coach. It's a joke. The whole thing is a joke. And every once in a while, I find it to be a healthy thing to step back from the micro, step back from watching the games with some sort of microscope and trying to pick apart what happened. What did the Cubs do to change things up on Heaney, and how did they adjust to his fastball or begin swinging more aggressively or whatever, and realize that the whole thing, the entire thing, is a joke. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragecheck.org. That's gunstoragecheck.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
J1Q comes from Chris Parnell, who says, DK, why would any owner, even one as checked out as Bob Nutting is, allow a dead man walking GM to complete yet another bad draft and one more train wreck trade deadline before being shown the door at year's end? Why not just make the change right now? Before I answer the really legit questions that you ask there, Chris, I'm going to constantly keep taking issue with anytime anybody characterizes Nutting as being checked out or aloof or, living up on some dark mountain with wolves and thunder and lightning going off all the time. He's around. He's there. He's present. He's visible. He's audible. He's in the offices. He's at the games. If you choose to characterize him as checked out, you're A, incorrect, B, if you really think about it, letting him off the hook, because you're suggesting that he's got nothing to do with any of this failure. As for why not make the change right now, he just doesn't do things like that. He makes up his mind that he's going to give somebody a chance, and then he really, really, really gives them that chance. It takes, as we saw the previous front office, some big thing to turn him around or turn him off, or however you would choose to describe it. And apparently 11-19 on top of 5 previously failed seasons doesn't do that trick. And I have considered these things that you've brought up. Well, do you want somebody who's interim or not as up to speed, executing something like the draft or something like the trade deadline? To which I would answer, on both counts, emphatically, yes. By all means, yes. And when I've done this, Chris, I've not only said, get rid of them, show them the door, kick them out. I have put forth names of eminently capable people to replace them who are already in the Pirates employ. So you don't have to skip a beat, unless, of course, those people would refuse to take those positions or would want to go as some sort of show of solidarity with the people who get fired or whatever. But as we're speaking, they're in that building. Steve Sanders, the current assistant general manager, has run the draft. He could run it without oversight. Don Kelly, the bench coach, has run a major league team. He could do it again. There's nothing stopping Nutting from making the right moves and making them now, except for his own thinking that he either owes it to these guys for whatever insane reason, or he believes their nonsense, and they even spew this stuff in public, that everything is on the cusp of reversing itself. All of our numbers and all of our metrics show that our hitters have been unlucky to date. Okay, your hitters are still unlucky. And they're going to stay unlucky. This is a bottom 2 or bottom 3 offense in all of Major League Baseball. That's where it is now. That's where it's going to finish the season. And the reason for that is the people running baseball operations both on and off the field and in every single capacity, including analytics and all else, don't have the first clue about hitting. The time to make these changes is now. Oh, no, wait, that's wrong. The time to make these changes was 6 months ago. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We'll be back with another one of these tomorrow.